So, hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to the first of one of our Travel Weekly remote interviews, panel discussions that we're going to be bringing you over the next few weeks and months. Obviously, many of us are now having to work from home during this coronavirus crisis, but we're brought together three people right on the front line who we hope will share some of their experiences, their advice, and maybe some tips and things that we can be doing as we are all going through this together. So I'm joined today by Jo Rzymowska from Celebrity Cruises, by Alan Cross from Jet2 Holidays, and by Miles Morgan from Miles Morgan Travel. So thank you all very much for sparing the time. I know how busy you are. You're still in the thick of it. That's very clear. So thank you for sparing the time. But let's start with you, Miles, because you really are right on the front line. Tell us a little bit about the last couple of weeks, how it's been for you, what the key challenges have been, and of course, you know, what you're still having to deal with.
Yeah, I think the challenges have been coming from all over the place over the last fortnight, with things like the 28-day cancellation of people's holidays, resulting in huge volumes of people that needed a whole raft of things, from refunds to change of date, and then obviously the confusion about vouchers, not vouchers, after changing rules, not changing rules. And so that also has added, if you like, to the complexity of the situation that agents have had to deal with, and that equally has made it tough in what was already a challenging environment. So we've got that. We've also got customers clearly in resort all over the world that we've had to repatriate, and it's almost been a race against time, if I'm honest. So the pace of that last week was reasonably relaxed. We were doing it bit by bit. We're now in a situation where we have got people that are now firmly stuck, people that are firmly stuck in New Zealand, can't get back, you know, and so the situation is getting more and more bleak for a lot of those people. They're getting more and more desperate, and, you know, the heat and the pressure, if you like, for travel agents all up and down the country gets tougher and tougher. So that bit's difficult. We've also got balances where customers are having to pay balances as well, and they're saying, should I pay my balance? Should I not pay my balance? What should I do? So that's causing us challenges as well. So what would have been a simple transaction, people just come in to pay their balance, all of a sudden becomes a complex debate about whether they should or whether they shouldn't. And obviously we've been given the advice firmly they should, because simply if you don't give that advice, they're going to walk away from their deposit and lose their money. And so you've got that as well. And then the final thing is, of course, we've got business as usual. We've got all the types of transactions that we would ordinarily be doing. They're all going on as well as trying to fight a brave rearguard action on all of the things that have hit us from nowhere, really.
Wow. Okay. That is certainly an awful lot to deal with. And in terms of your customers overseas, how many? What are we talking about? Because I know you've got a number of shops. You've got a lot of customers. How many have you got still stranded? Just out of interest.
I think we're probably going to finish with tens that are stuck overseas, thankfully. Okay. So that's all it is. Obviously, the ones on flight only are in the most challenging position. Those that are on packages, you know, and thank heaven, a lot of tour operators and suppliers have been utterly brilliant in what has been challenging circumstances. I think, for instance, of a single lady we've got in New Zealand on a Titan tour who is literally on her own, and Titan have been absolutely brilliant at looking after that customer and reassuring her. And so, you know, if there's some nice things, it's been just a brilliant way a lot of suppliers have reacted in what has been the most challenging time for absolutely everybody in this industry.
Yeah, okay. And so, yes, I mean, let's come on and we can talk to two suppliers now, of course. But I mean, you found that that's been a good experience, really good relationship, everybody pulling together to try and help the customer. Have you found that?
I've got to be honest, there has been the odd exception. Not surprisingly, in any situation, everybody's trying to do the best for their own business. And we have had suppliers who have literally, in one instance, abandoned one of our customers in Lanzarote and said, there you go, over to you, you sort them out. And thankfully, we have sorted them out, and we did get them back a couple of days ago. But that particular supplier just abandoned ship and said, over to you.
Do you want to name and shame them, Miles?
I don't mind naming and shaming them. It's James Villas. You know, there we are.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll perhaps get to them and give them a right of reply at some point. But obviously, you've had some good experiences. Let's move over to to Jo, let's talk to you. I mean, Jo, I saw actually your message to the trade. You did a video message to the trade, and that's one of the reasons I actually invited you on here, because I thought it was very heartfelt. You obviously wanted to talk to the trade about what you're doing and how they can help and how you can help them.
Well, yeah, thanks, Lucy. I mean, this is just a extraordinary time. You know, we've all lived through 9/11, financial crash, ash cloud, Costa Concordia in the cruise industry, and this sort of surpasses everything. And as a result of that, it's really important that we work very closely with our travel partners to make sure that we are doing all that we can to protect our mutual guests. And this is what this is all about. It's about, we've been in this business for over 50 years. We will be in it for the next 50 years. And at the core of that are our travel partners. Always have been, always will be. And therefore, unless we work together on this and looking after our mutual guests, none of us will be in the situation that we want to be in to make sure we're in the best place possible when we come out of it. And we will come out of it, but we need to make sure that we help as many as we can along the way in making sure that we give confidence to the consumers that what they're doing is that they are booking with their travel partners and with the right suppliers. Hence our cruise with confidence that does enable our guests to cancel up to 48 hours before departure, and also protect the agent's commission, which is key, because we're not quite sure yet when this is going to end. And I think we need to be honest about that. Nobody can say there is an end date. And therefore, we need to be in this for hopefully the short haul, or the medium haul or the long haul. And we need to prepare in the best way. And the way in which to do that is to work together in the best way that we can. All situations are relative. This is a massive, massive financial blow for every organisation. But we need to try and do everything we can to persuade the consumers, because boy, oh boy, are they going to want a holiday when they come out of this. Just postpone it. Don't cancel it and refund it as much as possible. Postpone it. We'll make sure that your holiday is there, ready for when you want to rebook it. And that's why working together on switching to this credit refund, I think as best we can, is a good thing for us to do as an industry.
Okay, thanks, Jo. Let's come back in a second to talk about the credit notes versus the refunds. But I just want to bring Alan in, just to get your experience of what you've been through. I mean, I remember sitting at my kitchen table 2 Saturdays ago, watching you turning your planes around and getting a call actually from your CEO to explain what was happening. So that was a pretty big move. And of course, it became even more significant after that. Tell us what you've been through, Alan.
Thanks, Lucy. I mean, we're always fast to react to any situation, but we had the sandstorms and the Canaries, and then within no time, it went straight into the coronavirus. Now, as you know, we suspended flying throughout till the end of April, which has its challenges in its own right, but we had 70,000 passengers to get back here to repatriate to the UK. So we had the existing customers, and we had our booked customers still to travel, who, again, the disappointment of losing their holiday we had to transact. Now, as we put those suspension and cancellations into place, we very quickly realised the independent travel agents were crying out to us there. And I can't reiterate what Jo was saying more enough. And that was that basically the travel agents with their rebook vouchers, we turned those round within 24 hours so that the agents retained cash flow, retained the commission, and retained their customer, which was essential to them. I had travel agents phoning me up crying, saying, actually, you've saved my business by offering the rebook voucher. So again, we jumped very quickly with that one, and it's went down fantastic. The agents are doing a great job. Trade mix for Jet2 holidays usually sits at 30%. The past couple of weeks, it's been sitting at 60%. They're doing a fantastic job at saving those customers and satisfying those customers that, yeah, it will come back and they want a holiday.
So you're losing customers that book direct, but where they've booked through an agent, you're managing to keep hold of them and make it. Yes. That's amazing. Okay, and you're crediting the good work of travel agents who are having those conversations, who've got the relationships, who've been able to sort of reassure them that they should stay and not take a refund, but to just postpone.
very much so. As I say, the agents were delighted when we introduced the rebook vouchers and have supported it wherever possible.
Okay, let's come back to you, Miles. I know you've got some views on, I mean, we're still waiting, aren't we? You made the point there that there's a little bit of confusion, isn't there? I mean, some companies are offering refunds, some are waiting to find out what the decision's going to be. We know ABTA are in talks with the government trying to get some kind of clarity on what could be offered, what might or might not be underwritten. So what's your view? As it stands at the moment, we were thinking there might be an announcement yesterday, thought there might be one today, and we're still waiting. So how does that impact on your business?
I think my start point is looking at it from the customer's perspective. And the absolute thing that's got to be certain is in this scenario that the customer's money is protected. So when they've got an atoll bonded holiday booked, their holiday's protected financially, tick, fantastic. As soon as we move to vouchers, that issue then becomes a little more grey. And therefore, the proposal that ABTA put, that linking that voucher to the previous booking and therefore bonding it and securing it, for me is absolutely crucial, because as a business, we can't recommend, suggest whatever to our clients, taking something that we think in any way might not be fulfilled. And so it's absolutely crucial, because in essence, those things are just gift vouchers. And in the event a company failed, the customer would just become a creditor and get a small amount of money. We can't be in that situation. So it's crucial that it's absolutely secured and tied up, and everybody knows that when they recommend those vouchers, they are absolutely cast iron, as concrete as, if you like, somebody's got an atoll bonded holiday. So that's my start point. What Alan's done in his business has to be applauded. It's brilliant. They reacted quickly. They offered inducements for clients booking again. It was fantastic. Just as Alan said, totally supporting the travel agent, which was wonderful to see. And so many other suppliers are doing the same thing. Joe's business at Celebrity has done exactly the same thing. And they probably don't realize just how much a difference that makes to a travel agent. It is phenomenal the difference that makes. And so, you know, on behalf of all the agents out there, I'd just like to say thank you to those two people, but also to all the other companies that have really supported the travel agent through what has been a challenging time, because, you know, financially it's tough for the business, but it's also mentally incredibly tough for travel agents, because we're getting a kick in pretty much every day from people about so many issues, a lot of which is not actually under our control. And that's really hard. And everybody's doing their best to look after their customers in what's unknown and challenging times. Yeah.
So the main issue is concern that if they took one of these credit vouchers, that if that company was to fail, then they would lose their money. And so you're currently not comfortable giving one of those vouchers unless you know it's going to be underwritten. That's how
which was the proposal that they were making, that it's tied back, if you like, to the cancelled booking and bonded against the previous booking. And that sounds a wholly sensible thing to do, and that would be brilliant if they confirm that was the case. That would be wonderful.
Okay, and if they don't, sorry, Joe, please come in.
And I just think we had a meeting at everything that we're doing as a corporation across all of our brands. We had a meeting yesterday with Mark and the ABTA team, and I think we need to applaud them, because they really are pushing this as much as they can and doing everything they can. And I think it's really incumbent again upon us as agents and as suppliers to do all that we can in writing to our local MPs and to really trying to really initiate and instigate how significant this is and important to businesses and to our customers. But I do think we can't underestimate the work that ABTA are trying to do from that point of view.
Yeah, and they obviously launched that campaign on Friday night, which Travel Weekly got behind, and I think we've had hundreds of downloads of a templated letter to be sent to people's local MPs. So hopefully,
please do that.
Yeah, please everybody do that. That would be great. Okay. All right, you mentioned there, Miles, that your team are getting a bit of a kicking. I mean, I just wanted to ask across all your businesses, because I know you've got customers, you've got your own staff. In the case of Joe and Alan, you've got really good relationships with agents. You know, how has morale been, and how are you managing to operate your businesses, particularly with you, Miles? Now you've obviously had to, with the announcement last night, you've had to close all your shops. So everybody working from home, and I guess you can't have people on the road, Jo and Alan. So perhaps take me through how that side of this whole crisis has been, and how you've been dealing with the people side of things. Do you want to start us off, Alan?
Well, you know, one of the most invigorating experiences was last week when we had 22,000 bookings for April to cancel, get the vouchers out, and then transact those that want to rebook. We brought in 137 additional staff, so my team grew rapidly overnight, and these were trainee pilots, engineers, HR, revenue, product, admin, that we trained up how to work the system to turn this round so quickly. And I must admit, the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. And what they said was, talking to the agents, they made it very clear it's not their daytime job, they're just trying to help get them cancelled or rebooked. And the rapport was fantastic. And it was amazing that a lot of the time it's the unseen guys behind our company that make it work. They got to talk to the front line, they got to talk to the travel agents, and the bond was amazing that way, and they're still talking about it. So it's looking for, you know, get rid of the rule book, just make it happen. It's the way our company works. And again, everybody's looking to do that. We're all in it together at the moment.
Yeah, okay, sounds very resourceful. Well done. Jo, what about you? You've got a big team of people that we know really well. Well, same as Alan's, we see them around and everything. I guess how do they continue to keep that relationship with the trade? You said it's crucially important that they do continue to do that for when the time comes that we do get out of this. So what have you been encouraging them to do to keep their rapport with the trade?
Well, I mean, you know, in times of adversity, you get the best and the worst of people, right? And I'm delighted to say I think we work in an industry where we get mostly the best of people. I think the way in which, similar to Alan, it's not about what my role was, we're finding the new norm. And I think when we come through this, we will have different and better ways of working, probably. But people are doing whatever job needs doing, we are reskilling, retraining, and our number one priority is making sure that we can answer the phones to our consumers and to our trade partners. And that's been number one. So our contact centres working around the clock, other people helping them to make sure that they can answer the calls efficiently, and making sure that we're there at the end of the phone, number one. Our sales teams have been so creative. It's been incredible. So we set up virtual coffee mornings, which are kicking in as we speak, because this is obviously week one of full home working. With Leon, our trainer, doing tidbits on training. We're doing wellness and health, because that's really important. You know, now that the kids are off school earlier than expected, now that there's either single parents or mum and dad both at home with the kids, making sure that we're being flexible from that point of view and supporting our staff that have got childcare issues, as this has been happening so quickly, has been key. Social media. I mean, the interaction we've had with the agent partners on social media by providing selling hits and tips and how to keep going. Because let's not underestimate it. I know it's really tough, but late 2020 and 2021, there are people booking holidays out there. So we're focusing in making sure that we're giving the agents all the tools to say, listen, people are still booking holidays for further out. So giving them lots of hits and tips on that is really important.
So let's just pick up on that, because Miles, we were talking and you said you were still getting some bookings for 2021. So are you pushing that proactively, or are you just too busy with dealing with all these rebooks and things that you have to do? Or talk about the chinks of light then that we can see in the future.
No, I think the one thing you can't do is stop your forward sales. And as Jo rightly says, people are still booking. So the volumes are certainly down, without a doubt. But you've got to keep your marketing up. You might not want to spend money on it, but obviously, you know, what you can do utilising your database and also on social media channels is pretty much free. And so, you know, it's important we keep promoting it. And all you fundamentally do is change your approach. And as Jo said, you're not going to, you know, really promote July departures, June departures, because people won't buy that. But things later in 2020, things in 21, absolutely. And I think, you know, one of the things that I firmly believe, and it could sound a bit mad in the current circumstances we're in, is at the end of the day, you know, the industry's gone through a very, very, and will go through a very, very hard 2020. the holiday companies and airlines in particular. And so, you know, they're going to have to try and recoup some of that money, which to me means probably prices for 21 will probably be substantially higher than normal. And so what better message for customers than to say, actually, securing something now for 2021 is a smart move, because you can be sure as soon as the coronavirus is maybe starting to wane, people will be thinking, right, okay, let's get in there now. And of course, all the algorithms of the computers in Jet2 and things will be going mad, putting prices up. So there's absolutely a strong rationale for customers securing something now.
Well, when is I mean, you know, there's an element, isn't there, whether it's a bit insensitive because people are still very busy, and should we be, you know, like, when is it the right time to start planning, or should people be planning for this bounce back now? What do you think, Alan?
I think you've got to do it now or you're going to miss the boat. We ourselves are building a campaign called Back with a Bang, and we're looking at social media, marketing content, the messages that are out there. We're looking at ensuring that the agents know the product that they're looking to sell. Yes, Summer 21 is actually selling very well at the moment, but let's not forget, when things recover, and they will, customers are going to want that last minute holiday. So don't forget them. And again, even now, make sure your windows are up to date, travel agents, because that is a fantastic opportunity, and people are going into your shops for whatever reason. And we are getting contact all the time with the agents telling us, yeah, people are booking Summer 21, but they're saying, you know, when it comes back, is there going to be late offers? Is there going to be deals? Yeah, the interest is still there. And let's not kid ourselves here. After spending 3 weeks with your children, I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of people there looking for a holiday, and I see you smiling, Lucy.
Well, without their children, go away without them. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
children are in earshot. I wouldn't dream of saying that. Okay, let's just. We haven't got much more time. I just want to know. Obviously, we've had some announcements by Boris Johnson and the Chancellor around measures to support the industry. What has been your view on those so far? Do you think are you happy, or, you know, no one's happy, but you know what I mean? Are you quite pleased with what's come out from the government, or could it do more to support the industry? Anyone can take that. Go on, Miles.
Okay, I'll take it. Firstly, I applaud the speed. Absolutely, you have to applaud the speed, and the fact the finer detail is coming later is, you know, you can't expect anything different. I think the biggest challenge looking at my business and the retail sector is obviously people like John Lewis have simply shut their door. They furloughed their staff, so they're now not working. They get 80% of their wages. And so when they reopen the door, that's fine. A travel agent is very different to that, simply because whilst we can shut our door and have to shut our door and move to home working, the reality is the staff are as busy as they've ever been, albeit the majority of it is actually not sales generating. In a lot of cases, it's sales reducing. And so it's a challenge for us to manage to react, manage cost base, at the same time as actually the fact we really are very, very busy everywhere. And so, yes, it's to be applauded, but for our industry, it doesn't recognise the challenges that we face as a business.
Yeah, like a pub, I guess, just closes, and people just don't go in and buy a drink, and I guess they can follow their staff, but you guys are so busy. All right, yeah, so we need them to recognise the specifics of the travel industry, and hopefully, as Jo pointed out, I mean, we do know that ABTA are literally working around the clock, I'm sure, to try and get that point across. Jo, did you want to add anything there?
Well, yes, and I think the side, as we mentioned, that ABTA working around the clock from that side as well. But I do think that we need to, keeping one's political choices out of this, I think we really need to take heed on what has been said. I really do. I think the way in which the information has come across, I think that the medical experts has been really clear. And I think that is actually the priority. Everything we're talking about is absolutely key, but the priority at the moment is all of us as individuals and our families absolutely take heed to what the government and what the professionals are saying. You know, I've got friends, as we all have, who work in the medical service, and the hospitals are really already getting at a breaking point. So number one, we've got to take heed. That is the number one priority, because if we don't, we will be in this for far, far longer than we should be. So anybody who's not taking this seriously, then again, it's incumbent on us as individuals to make sure that they do. And secondly, I do think that they are doing a lot. I think from an industry point of view, we really, really need them to take heed on the credit refund. I would really, really do hope that that gets through for our agency community.
Yeah, just on that then, Alan. So all the credit notes that you've been giving, all these vouchers, how are you guaranteeing that they will not just be a piece of paper then, if in the future?
We've worked very closely again with ABTA and the CAA. The wording on the document and things have evolved and changed since the original one was produced to the latest version was produced. And we've ensured that all the documentation, all the timing on it, all the wording on it is in line with their requirements. It's produced with an ATOL certificate that the agent will produce and hand out. And going forward, even the old confirmation and cancellation invoice attached as well to make sure that they're ATOL protected.
Okay. All right. It's just interesting that you're very confident in your approach, and yet we've got confusion in other parts of the industry where they're clearly not sure whether they should be doing these credit notes and whether agents want to accept them because they're not sure whether customers will, if that really does, will appease customers.
Yeah, basically, we've had a bank of lawyers working on this literally 24 hours a day. And again, the ABTA and the CAA have been excellent at telling us what they expect from it to make sure that they'll support it as well. Okay.
All right. Look, we're running close to our half hour that we wanted to keep this to. So looking to the future then, what's your key challenge then for each of your businesses, and maybe the key opportunity or the thing that what two things can we just leave people watching with? The thing that's most worrying you and giving you sleepless nights that you would quite like to have resolved, and then the opportunity for the industry. Joe, go on, Alan.
I've got two simple ones. One is keeping the lines of communication open with the travel agents. Speak to us and we'll speak to you. But probably the most importantly, one of the biggest problems that we've came up against on this occasion and in previous crisis positions is travel agents are not filling out the emergency contact details of the customers in resort. When we need to contact these customers in the middle of the night or on a Sunday and the travel agent's not open, it's causing us major troubles. So please, travel agents, fill out the emergency contact details. DGPR, even if we wanted to, we couldn't use it for marketing. It's a time for us to pull together and make things better for the customer, better for you, the travel agent, and us, the supplier.
That's a great shout. And of course, this was a big issue after Thomas Cook collapsed, and that was a big issue at the ABTA convention. We talked about it, and there was a problem with data at that point. So it's clearly still is an issue. And so I know you've been putting out messages. I've seen some of the emails you've been sending, but you need more people to do that and to trust you and to trust all operators that you're not going to take their customers.
Exactly.
That's the worry, isn't it? Okay, well, that's good to hear, and let's hope they heed that. Joe, for you?
I would absolutely second that with Alan. Please, this is about working together. This is not about marketing. This is about making sure we can help our mutual customers as quickly as we can and look after them in the best way. I really think, and come back again, I am an optimist at heart, although, as I said, I've never gone through anything like this in the whole of my career. But through this, we will have a new norm. And through this, we will find new ways of working that will be more efficient than our current ways of working, and ways in which we communicate with our customers and ways in which we work together. And I actually am really asking the team, when we've got this, as we're going through this now, let's find that so that when we come out of this, we don't go back to some of those old ways. We come forward in new ways, which actually I think will be far more efficient all round. And the other thing is, let's face it, people are dying to book a holiday. So let's not miss out on that opportunity together. We've got to be sensitive about it, but people are wanting to book a holiday as soon as they can.
And Joe, just before we move on from you, because of course you had the double blow of, because you had such a big party planned for your latest ship, and of course she was going to be named in Southampton. This was Apex. Have you even thought yet about how you will showcase her to the trade? Will you, or is that past now, or do you think there will be an opportunity maybe in 2021 for the UK trade?
Well, I mean, first of all, would you believe it? 10 years ago, we had the ash cloud as we were naming Celebrity Eclipse.
Yeah.
When we took our ship over within 48 hours to be a rescue ship in Bilbao and brought back 2,500 customers that you may well remember.
Yeah, I remember it.
I'm so excited about this because, you know, 10 years on, we haven't had a launch of a new ship in the UK for us, the Celebrity Cruises, and the naming of a godmother, which, as you know, is a big thing in the industry. You know that, Lucy, you are a godmother of Azamara Pursuit. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, nobody's more devastated than I am that we had to cancel the whole thing. But it's too early to say that. All I can say is that Apex is joining the fleet. She's looking gorgeous. The crew sent us a video only last week. They're there and ready. And we can't wait for her to join the fleet. But we're working through now where and when that will be.
Okay, well, we look forward to hearing some more news when the time is right. Thank you, Jo. And just for you then, Miles, just to finish things off, what would be your key sort of thing that it's troubling you that you'd like some sort of resolution or help with, and what opportunities are there?
I think, like everybody, probably the biggest one is how long will this go on? And obviously there is no answer to that. So that's probably the most concerning thing. I think the only thing I would say is, and the sort of green shoots is, I think, you know, the global world economy could not afford it to go on that long. Therefore, you know, the great minds around the world, these clever people, undoubtedly will have to bring forward, you know, drug solutions, vaccinations, whatever, to solve this problem and solve it quickly. And, you know, so, you know, if you like, my green shoots are, they will find that solution, because there are a lot of very, very clever people in this world. And we're seeing China already turning the corner and numbers down to pretty much zero in China and factories reopening. So green shoots there. Biggest one of all is undoubtedly, and Jo touched on it, when we get out of this, demand will be phenomenal. Because, of course, the one thing we know, and the thing that will never change, the great British public want to go on holiday. And so that whatever happens, that won't change. What we will have is a massive pent-up demand that we'll have to fulfill. And so, you know, there are green shoots, potentially, but equally, the long-term future of the industry overall remains strong and will always be strong.
All right, well, what a great place to leave it on. I cannot thank you enough, all of you, for sparing the time. I know how busy you are. I mean, you're always busy, but this is unprecedented times, as Jo said. So thank you for the time you've given us. We would quite like to revisit it, maybe come back to you in a few weeks' time and see where things are. It would be great to catch up with you again. But for now, thank you for all that you've been doing. And we wish you the very best with each of your businesses. And we'll be supporting everything that you're doing at Travel Weekly. So thank you for your time, everyone.